Real Talk with.
Hey.
Today we have a special guest, Miss Willow. Welcome to the show. Thanks
Hi.
for being here.
Thank you
And
for having
Anna,
me.
can you tell us a little bit about Anna? Can you tell us a little bit about Miss Willow? Because I've seen her on your video. That's
Miss Willow is amazing. She is beautiful. She is sweet. She is unassuming. Listen, let me tell you the first time I met Miss Willow, right? It was we were protesting against Hal Marks. He was a racist, fat, repugnant,
Jabba the
mayor.
Hutt.
Yeah, he was
nice.
no, seriously.
Okay.
He did. He looked just like Jabba the Hutt.
Like Jabba the Hutt. He really had, and then he had a fat wife.
A fat what?
Wife.
Oh, geez.
I used to call her. So they used to call him Shallow Hal, and Shallow Hal, the movie, the girl's name was Rosemary. So I used to call his wife Rosemary.
Oh my gosh!
I was like, "Shut up, Rosemary."
That's when you met. That's when you met Miss Willow.
But so what happened was she was talking. So of course, all of us like, who this white lady, man? What's she out here for?
I waited till the last day. I let everybody else speak for 3 days.
She did.
Oh, you're good.
She said something, and I was just like, in my head, I'm like, why that white lady say that? But then she was like, she said something to me, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be quiet now. She got it. She got it. She got it.
I told everybody at the end of 3 days,
yes.
I looked out at the crowd of mostly white people and said, I'm too old to be going through this shit.
She did.
I lived through Jim Crow up until now, and it hasn't changed. And the reason it hasn't changed is because of all of you white out there. Mm-hmm. You guys created. It's up to y'all to change it.
Yep.
And that's how we met.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great message. And that's kind of the message that I've been trying to give for years and years is we did this. Let's, not to be saviors, but to be humans. Just why would you watch and not do anything? So that's wonderful. So you're a longtime activist.
I am. And I read the SCOTUS brief that was handed out last night. 90-something pages.
90-something pages? Did you really?
Yeah.
Like that. Yes.
Yeah, I read real fast. I like to read. But anyway, it has such implications for the other amendments.
Oh,
it has implications. He writes in the implication it has for the recent civil rights, human rights that we've gained for the LGBTQ community, for the trans community, for all of that, everything that has happened in the last 30 years is up for not just reversal, but the Republicans in the Senate and House have been meeting in caucus to launch a nationwide clampdown outlaw of abortion when it comes down.
Wow.
And they are counting on taking the House and Senate so they can go in and introduce a constitutional amendment, which the president cannot stop, and pass it out. And it has to have 2/3 vote to pass it. And they have it.
Wow.
To ban abortion in a constitutional amendment.
On the federal level.
They have the votes in the states to get it. And I lived and worked through the ERA, the Equal Rights Movement.
Oh, okay.
We had to go through the ratification. And I personally worked in Texas and in Alabama on it. And you can get down on your knees and beg those white men. And they don't care. Because they're not conservatives in any sense of the word. The GOP, the Republicans, are no longer conservatives. They are reactionaries. They don't want to conserve the status quo. They want to tear it up and go back as far back as they can push it.
Yep. Oh my God. Yep.
I mean, some of their outspoken pundits have called for, Laura Ingraham has called for abolishment of the 19th Amendment because women are too emotional to be in politics. This is a woman calling for it, like Phyllis Schlafly. I knew Phyllis Schlafly. Went to see her several times, listened and read everything she did. I know what a CUNT she was. And
can I just say I love you? You are awesome. And hi, Quinn. Hi, Tiana. Hi, everybody. King Geo.
Wait a minute. That's my daughter. That's my daughter, Tiana.
Hi.
That's my daughter, Tiana. That's the second to the oldest daughter.
That's awesome.
And my brother's on there. What's going on, Polly?
Where is he?
Geo is on here too. You see him, King Geo?
Is that the Geo that's supposed to be on with us?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I have him on Facebook.
Geo, you're supposed to be on the show. That's okay though. We're happy to have you. Wow. So you're going to be a wealth of information. Let's get. I don't know how to spell. I don't know what that means. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get this show on the road. I just put in this little thing I'm just throwing in there. If I just want to do some quick stuff, and then we will get it started. That is where, if you want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me, that little Facebook, and message me. And if anybody wants to call in later on, this is the phone number. And oh my goodness, I will put it right up. Hopefully. There it is right there. You might want to take that down if you might want to call in, and we will get started. Thanks again for being here. Tonight's show is about the impact of Roe versus Wade being, tonight's show is about the impact of Roe versus Wade being overturned will have on poor women in the United States, and particularly Black women of any socioeconomic status. And so it's a little more detailed than just talking about what's going on. So since this is a highly emotional topic, I know it was for me on many levels tonight, I wanted us to start by just doing a roundtable discussion. And the format, we can, I think we can just be kind of loose on the format, and we'll follow what I have, but we're going to time people. Do you think that's necessary, Anna?
No, it's just us. No worries.
Yeah. But I wanted to start by asking both of you how you felt when you first found out that, and I'm going to ask definitely viewers as well. So be writing stuff in if you have a comment for this. I want to start by first asking how everyone felt when they heard this news. It's kind of a huge impact for me. And yeah, what did you think?
Go ahead, Miss Willow.
Miss Willow, do you want to say when you heard that?
I expected it 10 years ago. I did. And I was surprised that Trump didn't do it the first time in his first term. And I thought it showed how confident he was to get a second term, that he didn't dissolve NATO and ban abortion. So I wasn't surprised at all. They've been trying for 30 years to do this.
Let me just. Hi, Gio. Can you hear me? Hello. Uh-oh, I don't think you can hear me.
So what I was gonna say was, while you're doing your technical.
Yeah, I don't. And Miss Willow, can you put your camera just slightly up because you're out of the picture? There you are. You are. And Gio,
so could y'all mute yourself? Miss Willow, mute yourself, and Gio, mute yourself, because we're getting it back. So to answer your question,
yeah, go ahead, and we'll wait till, because I can't hear him. Go ahead.
Right, Kimberly, I wasn't surprised. I mean, just like Miss Willow said, I wasn't surprised about this. We talked about this before, the birth dearth thing. I mean, absolutely. I worked for Planned Parenthood, and I knew it was coming. And the fact of the matter is, I told you that racism, white supremacy, white male patriarchy is a game of tag. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Hi, Gio. Can you hear us?
Trying to hear you guys. Hold on a minute.
Okay. Well, I'll go. We're just at I was, you know what's interesting? I kind of I take things in layers. When I first heard, I was like, oh geez, about the leak. And as the day went on, I started getting pissed. I started getting more and more really upset, thinking about the ramifications, because the ramifications are deep on so many levels. I don't want to trigger people on this show who might have had sexual assaults or whatnot, but I am going to be, just to give you a heads up, I am going to be talking about that kind of thing. So if that's not good for you, then definitely don't be on, because I don't want to hurt anybody. But the first thing I started thinking of was, oh my God, what if? And this is going to sound strange, but this is just so me. What if some guy decides that they want to have a connection with you the rest of your
But I
life?
can't barely hear you guys.
You can't hear?
I not from my headset or from the phone. I can hear you. I can hear you from my computer.
Yeah, and it's a lag, and we can hear it too. Can you? It looks like, you know what? It's something on your end.
Will you put your camera just slightly up because you're out of the picture?
Leave out and come back in, Gio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leave out and come back in.
Yeah, to jump each yourself just below yourself.
Because we can hear the feedback.
Go ahead. We'll wait.
Okay. If he comes back in, he should go out and come back in. Oh, there we go. I don't know if he knows to come out and come back in. But anyway, when I first heard this, I was fine, but then I just started getting more and more upset, thinking that, like, of these kids that are at home with some, child molesting father, and they're all alone, and I started thinking horrible things. So that was kind of my at first I was like, well, and then the more I thought, the more not good. But I wanted to do a really quick let me see. I hope he can come back in, but we'll see what happens.
Truthfully,
Yeah.
when I heard the news after, I was like, of course they did, because they announced they were going to do this back last year. My second thought was, oh, there are ways to get around this. And I started plotting and planning about how we will get around this.
Can you tell me
So
more?
I went to action,
Tell us more.
I think action. I'm not going to cry about spilt milk. We knew it was going to be thrown on us. I'm going to clean up and get on with business.
So
we're not going to stop. I ended my podcast today. I ended my podcast today with a saying from Thomas Jefferson, who I'm not a fan of, but I did like what he said. He said that your rights end at my body. And that's right. It's my body. No government, no man, no woman, nobody is going to tell me what to do with my body.
Well, one of my friends actually wrote me today, and I can't read everything that he wrote me, but he's very, very, very smart. And he actually wrote that, let me just find he's saying, inherent in the liberalism, albeit not explicitly in the U.S. Constitution, are two fundamental tenets: freedom of conscience and freedom of coercion from government specifically. And taking control of a woman's body, he wrote, after she becomes pregnant and forcing her to term is the most egregious form of governmental coercion. And he's a brilliant guy. So I just wanted to quote him. If you want to talk about our Constitution, it's pretty obnoxious. But
no different from the Nazis' Lieberstrom program, where they forced young German women, to bear soldiers' children to breed the super race. No different.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And it's just gonna.
It's gonna snowball. The issue is here. The Constitution was not written for none of us that's talking right now. It wasn't.
For
But
me.
that's exactly what they argue. That's exactly what Alito's argument is that because it is not spelled out in the Constitution, it does not exist. Well, that's where you start looking around at all the other things like 17th Amendment, 14th Amendment, slavery and freedom from,
Right.
yeah.
Do you
And
think that's where
They're
they're
not
going?
written in. The
You think that's
Constitution is
No.
written for white men. So if you go back to being a strict constructionalist, which the Federalist Society, who has put in every one of these conservative half-breed judges up there, they believe in strict constructionalism. If it's not in the Constitution, it doesn't exist. Therefore, none of us sitting here exist.
Wow.
And this is the
Really?
thing. We were talking about this earlier, right? When I told you women, Black people, immigrants, and even children, right? Let's not forget that children aren't even, I'm talking about the born ones, are not even considered people. They had to make laws for them to be considered people, to be considered children. So
because they're considered property.
Exactly. So
a man's property, not the mother's.
Right. So at the end of the day, they're just gonna go down the line of all of the people that are not considered people. And it's a game of tag. So the way, but LaDonna put something, poor white people don't exist. But just like during slavery, just like during Jim Crow, they're too stupid to understand that until it affects them.
Well, yeah.
Even when it does affect them, they still vote Republican. Look at Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia.
They tend to vote against their own best interest. And oftentimes it's because of the racist.
They vote for fear.
Yep. They're so afraid and they don't want to use critical thinking skills and whatnot. So it's a really, really rough thing because when you're in a state of fear, you can't learn, you can't listen, you can't, I mean, it's, and that's why, the GOP does. Oh, there he is. Let me see if he's coming in again. Hello. There you are.
Hello. That's why Fox News has been so successful. They've sold fear for all these years.
All about fear. Right. Hi, Gio. Welcome.
Thank you. I do apologize. I didn't see Anastasia's link on my Gmail.
Well, you're in now, so we're gonna.
Yes, I am.
Welcome. And do you know Miss Willow?
I've seen Willow before. Yes, okay. I don't know. I know of her through Anastasia, but her and I never met. So, cool. Hello, Willow.
Well, good to have
you.
Well, you said a question earlier on. You asked a question earlier on. Were we surprised when this came out?
Yeah,
I wasn't surprised because I knew this was going to come out sooner or later. Yeah, because that's what the GOP has always wanted to have. Right.
Yeah,
and it caught me off guard. It didn't in some ways. They're doing it now because it's the midterms, and they want to get all those votes in. They want to get as much Republicans as they can. And like Willow said, they can't do, if they wanted to, a federal law where no state can do abortions, and that's what they're trying.
So you're saying that's what they really want to do is not just to make it so that it's actually on a federal level.
Yes, especially now that you see the census that came out that says that white people are becoming the minority.
Yep, that's
so
what
they want. One way or the other, they're going to stop that and say no, that cannot happen in America. We have to be the majority. Yep. So they can't kill us by law, but they'll stop us. They'll try to stop us from procreating. They'll keep us from the white people from procreating, but they don't care if that white girl doesn't have a baby's father, doesn't care that white girl has money to take care of that child, doesn't care anything as long as she gives birth.
Right.
That's all they care about. Because
we're going to talk about that tonight. Absolutely.
If you come think about it, here you have these people. I know you people are white, so I do apologize, but But
okay.
but here they are.
Here.
They're telling you, we want you to have these kids no matter what happens. If you got raped, don't worry about it. If it was incest, don't worry about it. If it was your father, your uncle, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
So then here you are, you give birth to this child. You can't afford to. Now you go to welfare. Now you try to get WIC. Now you try to do this and that, and they're gonna tell you no. They'll deny you that. So you want me to have this baby, but then you deny me services that. So how am I supposed to feed my baby if I, then they'll tell you, well, you should have thought about that before you got pregnant.
Yep. And I hear you. So we're going to talk about that tonight, that exact subject. And I have some questions that we're going to go around and do just a panel, and everyone can just, keep their comments, make your points and everything.
In other words, what she's saying is, I'm keeping time.
Uh-oh.
And when you're out of time, I'm buzzing you.
She's going to be the timekeeper, but we want to hear what everyone has to say. And I'm going to basically do a quick intro for people who are new to the topic. Very, very basic. And then we're going to go from there. And I got questions for you guys to answer. Before we get into my giving a quick intro, I would like to, hey, Mahako, I would like to ask Miss Willow a special question just for her. Is that okay? It's okay. You're like, because you were alive when women did not have bodily autonomy, and when Black people did not have equal rights. They still don't have equity, but they did not even have equal rights, the legal right to have equity. So could you tell us about what it was? Do you remember what it was like when women basically couldn't get an abortion what if their life depended on it, or what if they're
You're muted.
It didn't matter. Abortion still happened. The thing was that women died. I had a girlfriend, a roommate in college that went home for Christmas and came back and got really sick, collapsed. We called the ambulance. One of us rode to the hospital with her, and come to find out she was septic from a back alley abortion.
Oh my God.
Nearly died. She was sent home after she got out of the hospital. She went home and never came back. It completely changed her life.
Mm-hmm.
If you had money, you could, a long time ago, fly to Mexico, and it was legal. Yeah. Then California and New York legalized it, so you could fly there. And the rich people did. The people with money did. And just like now, 10 to 15% of all abortions are on fundamentalist Protestants. Another 20% to 22% are performed on Catholics. So this is, no matter what the church teaches, women are going to have this. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of whether it's self-help health care or no health care. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was just not, back then you had to ask around. It wasn't something you knew. And your boyfriend, if you were pregnant, he had to ask around. And I guess there were people in every town. I'm sure there were doctors, if you paid them. Doctors performed them in their offices and even in the hospitals back then, and simply wrote it off as a D&C, and they still do that.
Yep.
It's written off as a medical, which it is. It's a medical procedure.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, and we'll move on, but specifically, Will, do you remember, and this is asking a lot because, you must have been pretty young, but do you remember what people did if the woman's life was in danger, or?
I know of one woman in our church that died from eclampsia because abortion was not. She was bad diabetic. It was like steel magnolias. And when she went into convulsions, her and the baby both passed.
Oh, God.
And that was not totally uncommon. But like I said, even back then, there were doctors that still performed it. And there were women that needed it because of conditions in pregnancy, late-term conditions, and they were performed it. It was just written off under a different medical heading.
Mm-hmm. So it's still going to
And the
happen.
people,
Right.
it still happens. It
Yeah.
still happens. But it's all based on money. It's based on money, whether or not a woman gets safe health care. It's based on her ability to pay. And they have gotten it, they've even gotten it in so many of these states to where you have to pay 2 visits to a clinic, which means a poor woman has to drive there twice, take off from work twice, 2 days in a row to go and do it.
It's
They make you go home and think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, LaDonna, all about power and money. Thank you for letting us know. It's thank you so much for your introspection and letting us. That's exactly what's going to happen right to us. And so I'm going to start by doing a brief introduction, and I'm going to do it really fast, and then we have more questions for the panelists. Thank you for that. That question was for you because I know you lived during that time.
Still seeing it, just like racism. It's still here, and it's not buried. It's finally out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
Racism exists.
Amen.
Uh-oh. All right, so I'm going to do a quick introduction for anybody who's new to the topic watching or going to watch later. Banning abortion's an attack, especially aimed at the poorest people in our nation. And due to, obviously, the centuries of extreme systemic racism, Black women of all socioeconomic status will be most impacted in general. And I realize that there are some individuals who oppose abortion because they claim to have a deep-seated religious belief in the sanctity of life. And while that sounds really noble, I personally find it pretty arrogant and ignorant. No one has the right to inflict their religion, their sanctimony on their religious sanctimony on another person, let alone an entire population. So if you feel strongly that abortion is wrong, you have that right. If you think it's murder, but don't have one. Statistics tell us that approximately, this is according to MSNBC, I've heard like 7 different stats, about 70% of Americans today believe and support a woman's right to control her own body. So why in the world would the GOP be going against the will of the people? Well, we all know they're not for the will of the people. They're for the will of the white rich people. I'm sorry, but their record indicates that they are really not interested in the sanctity of life. They are interested in becoming rich or richer. Just consider their stances on topics like the death penalty, food insecurity, police brutality and murder, systemic racism, universal health care, war. They're all for profit, and it ain't for people's the sanctity of life. The truth is, the wealthiest elites who run our country are fearful of abortion, all right, but you see, it's not just, they're not fearful of all abortion. Let me explain. White people are dying at higher rates, and this is for people who are just learning. They're dying at higher rates than we're dying at higher rates than we're reproducing. And the demographic makeup of this nation will soon be majority brown, Black, and non-Anglo. And over time, white women have historically aborted their fetuses at much higher rates than Black women do. So now they're going to force white women to bear children and try to push and keep the majority white as long as possible. And it still trumps GOP, and the GOP, they are obsessed with racism. It's Trump picked 3 Supreme Court justices that he knew would take away women's right to autonomy over their own body. So if you voted for Trump, no offense intended, you caused this. And while not all Black people are poor, there are a number of reasons why if Roe is overturned, Black women are going to bear the brunt of it. So that is what we're discussing tonight, if you weren't just coming on.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Miss Kimberly, so today in researching this, my husband, which he's trying to be funny, talking about, basically because of the constitutional amendments, he has to iron his own clothes, but I'll fix him in a minute.
Poor.
But this is from a Christian pastor, Dave Barnhart. The unborn are a convenient group of people to advocate for. They never make demands of you. They are morally uncomplicated. Unlike the incarcerated, addicted, or the chronically poor, they don't resent your condescension or complain. that you are not politically correct. Unlike widows, they don't ask you to question patriarchy. Unlike orphans, they don't need money, education, or childcare. Unlike undocumented immigrants, they don't bring all that racial, cultural, and religious baggage that you dislike. They allow you to feel good about yourself without any work at creating or maintaining relationships. And when they are born, you can forget about them because they cease to be unborn. It's almost as if by being born, they have died to you. You can love the unborn and advocate for them without substantially challenging your own wealth, power, or privilege, without reimagining social structures, apologizing, or making reparations to anyone. They are, in short, the perfect people to love. If you want to claim you love Jesus, but actually dislike people who breathe. Prisoners, immigrants, the sick, the poor, widows, orphans are the groups that are specifically mentioned in the Bible. Yet they get thrown in a bus for the unborn.
Excellent. Go ahead. Miss Willow, you want to comment?
Yeah, I have two comments. One's religious and one's history. Religiously, in the Bible, children are not considered children until they take the first breath. The Jewish faith still holds with that. The Protestant faith held with that up until the mid 1800s. Up until then, abortion was common, medically accepted, socially accepted. It was just something you didn't talk about because it was your business.
Yeah.
It was not against the law.
Right. This is about white supremacy. This is and one of the examples, and then I'll go on to the next questions for the panel, and I'll keep my mouth shut. One of the examples that just stands out so one of the worst examples of this kind of thing is, and a lot of people don't know this, that many hospitals have policies that if the GOP and these far right folks are so concerned about the sanctity of life, then I can tell you about a situation when you have a child, and if it's premature, a hospital's policy will dictate whether your child gets medical services. When it comes out born, breathing like a baby should, they can deny your child medical services and watch your child die before your eyes. Yes, you heard me correctly. So all this bullshit about the sanctity of life and this, it's not about life. It's about whiteness. And look it up. It's the sickest thing, and most people don't know about it. And it's true. So here's my question to the panelists. Jane Elliott talks about, she's an educator. She was with the Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes experiment, and she talks about Ben Wattenberg's book called The Birth Girth. And she outlines how the GOP's sweeping obsession to take away a woman's right to choose is directly related to white people's fear of being the minority. Maybe we think that Black folks will start treating us the way we've done to them. So they're scared. I don't know. My question to everybody here is, do you agree with this? And is this the real reason for such extreme abortion laws being pushed by people who really don't give a shit about people? So who wants to, Willow, you want to go? And then we'll talk to Gio. And what do you think?
Absolutely, because that's why the first abortion laws was passed, because there had been an influx over several decades of Catholics from France, Italy, Spain, and they were seen as melanated, darker people, right. The Irish immigration. That caused the first abortion laws to be passed, the first restriction on abortion to be passed. Abortion had never been mentioned in law before then. It had never been penalized, never been discussed in the Constitution or anywhere in government. It was simply a private affair.
Thank you. And today, everyone thinks of it as like it's always been the way it is, and it hasn't. It's just we need to study our history. Gio, do you have a comment on this? What do you think?
Well, for me, it's more of basically the same thing as Willow said, but more towards two things: is that the white community is scared that they are, and not just the white community. And most of the white community, I'm talking about Senate, was it starts from them. They're the ones who's giving this false information to the white community that this is going to happen. Like they said that we were supposed to take away their rights, we were supposed to take away their guns. None of that's ever happened. But they're just afraid of what they think might happen.
All fear, fear.
And by them saying that abortion is illegal for religious reasons, for whatever they want to say, which is not, they put that in your mind, and a lot of people are going with that. And to me, I feel appalled as a human being that here you are, you're telling me that I cannot do what I want with my body, but yet when the government or when there's a big pandemic going on and the government tells you wear a mask because this and that, you don't do that. You know, it's my body, my choice.
Right.
But then you're telling somebody else what they can do with their body.
Absolutely.
That's what I don't get. That irks me. You know, it just makes you want to choke the crap out of somebody. You know, listening to your own stupid stuff. You know, and it's just it just becomes annoying that people don't do their research. They don't do things. I mean, there's a lot of things that Planned Parenthood has done good that people don't see. I saw on the debate that I saw with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I saw a study where Planned Parenthood they reduced the number of abortion because they were educating the people.
Yep.
They were giving the people what needed to be done, whether it was contraceptives,
yep.
stuff like that. So their plan is working, you know, but they don't want. They don't tell that to the people. They say, "Oh no, Planned Parenthood is just doing free abortions," and people.
Isn't it less than 2% of what they do is abortion? I mean, it's the information flow and the fake information. And excellent points, Joe.
You know, and the other day I saw this yesterday. Did you see the video that I put up yesterday where Donald Trump said that he hates abortion?
He's lying.
In 1999, he made an interview with MSNBC.
Howard Stern too.
He said that he does not like abortion. He's for pro-life. And look at him 12 years later, he's saying he's against abortion. He doesn't like that he's with abortion. I mean, it's just weird how people don't see how this man, who's a known Democrat,
he's a hypocrite. Yeah. Well, he went on the Howard Stern show.
Became a Republican for the only reason he became a Republican because he knows that's the only way he could win.
Right. Well, he went on the Howard Stern show a while back, and he said he was trying to actually on that show begging his then girlfriend to have an abortion live on, you know.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And he was begging her please and joking about it. And so clearly, anyone who ever watched Howard Stern saw the interview if they're really into it. And so he's full of shit, and we all know it. So
we all know he's full of shit. But the thing is that this man has sprung up people with no brains, and he's giving them voices. You know, people don't think that what he said. Let's go, because you, I, Anna, and Willow know what it means when he said, "Let's all walk to the Capitol." We know what it means. You and I are normal people. Let's walk peacefully to the Capitol. Mm-hmm. But you have crazy people that took that and said, "No, we're going to storm the Capitol." He knew that.
Of course he did. Yeah, of course.
You know, so that's why he said it. And then to say, you know, and that's what he has sprung up. He has sprung up all these people who have no education, who have nothing better else to do in their life. Come on, for Pete's sake, they still think they said that Robert Kennedy's still alive.
Yeah, so right.
I mean, does that make any sense to you? I mean, it's stupidity.
Yeah, it does.
And I just saw Elvis chopping too.
Mm-hmm, yep. Well, thanks. A great conversation. Anna, what say you?
I blame white women. I blame white women.
Absolutely.
And listen, and this is why I say this, is because you got Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood. Okay, 40% of all slave owners were white women.
True.
During the feminists and come on, black women, come on with us. We black men never oppressed black women. White everybody. You had a problem with your white man, okay? We had a problem with your white man, but all you wanted to fix was your problem with your white man. But you also sat in the sidelines when he was raping those black women and when he was murdering these black men and children and all. Because I want to know where pro-life was when they were genociding indigenous people. And I don't just mean here, I mean globally.
You know, white women have been complicit. Always.
Complicit with everything. But now you want me to pull up for you? I got the same energy you got when it came to Black Lives Matter. Oh, I don't think I can say all uteruses matter. Whatever I need to say to tell you kick rocks, that's what I'm going to say. Because what I'm going to worry about is black and brown women. And I'm going to tell you, I'm subjective about that too. Because you have a lot of white supremacists with a tan. You going out the door right with them white women and them white men. Because you sat by and held your head down, came into our neighborhoods, sucked us dry like vampires, took our money, moved out the neighborhood, put your kids in better school, and then gonna say the same thing these white folks talking about. You need to pull yourself up from your own bootstraps. So as far as I'm concerned, all of them could kick rocks. And I'm worrying about what my community is doing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that talks about accomplices, whether they black, white, orange, or green. If you are not an accomplice, get out of my face. I'm not worrying about you, white lady, because regardless of what happens, you will always be okay. Mm-hmm. Lastly, you did it to yourself, because when you were doing all these winning marches and you had the P hats on, as soon as you was good, it was like, oh, Black Lives Matter.
Right. Well, historically,
You know
that's how we've been. Historically, white women have not been a friend.
And just what Rashawn said, no more black and brown, because we have a lot of black people and a lot of brown people, and Gio can speak to this, that are taking this individualist look. Yo, when they done with black people, who do you think they coming after? Asian people. When they done with this,
right.
Gio, when they done with them, who do you think they coming after?
Right. People don't realize they're coming after your group. So, you know, and that's so obvious from history, but people don't want to. You know, here's the thing. When people don't learn history, like here's an example. Most people today believe there's always been just two genders. That's just not true. It's just not true. We don't know our history enough, so we think it's always been this way. The term white hasn't always been around. It was invented. So, I mean, we got to understand and stop staying in our little box. White folks I'm talking about. So, let me see. I'm just going to look for viewers' comments, and then I'm going to have another panel question. Let me see. And if you see any viewers' comments that you want to speak to, Anastasia, you can see the comments, right?
Yeah, I can see the comments. I mean, really, they having conversations.
Yeah.
And really good conversations. So
Great.
if you want to read the comments,
Okay.
Trust me.
My question is this. See, this is what I don't get either. I mean, we're always, well, not me. They're always attacking the woman, but where's the men behind this?
Yeah. What you mean? What expound on it?
Okay, in other words, it takes two to get one pregnant, right?
Yeah, I want to know when. No, I've been asking this question for the longest. When are we gonna wrangle up all these disrespectful penises?
Well, we talked about that in my family today a little bit. We did about what's next.
I said that. I mentioned that to a girl on TikTok, and she told me, oh no, they're already doing their thing by paying child support. I'm like, no, but that's a responsibility.
Okay. Then they need to start at conception. If you're saying that when I have this, I mean, when I get pregnant, it starts right then and there, run me my money then.
Well, I will take it a step further, people. I will take it a step further and say, how about maybe we need to, if we're going to control women's bodies, maybe we should start controlling men's bodies to make sure that women's bodies.
I have no objection on that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm a man. I think I am. Let me stop. I'm a man, and I've been with whomever I've been with. I've been very responsible. Because I know, why am I, and this is me, why am I going to get this girl pregnant or whatever the case may be when I know I can't take care of the baby, or I'm not going to be in that baby's life? So I would protect me and the female, and a lot of men don't think that way. So if you're going to penalize a woman for having an abortion, then you should find some way for having that man impregnate that woman, because it took two people to get that baby to get done with. They're not doing that.
I gotcha. And if they're going to control a woman's body, how about let's preempt it and control a man's? I'm so over this controlling people's bodies in 2022. My God. Great comments. I'm going to go on to ask another question to everybody. And let me see here. The question is, why is it so hard to deny? Why do they deny the fact that abortion is about white supremacy and not much about the sanctity of life, since white people don't seem to prioritize life in general anyway? Why are we so defensive about, why don't we just speak the truth? I mean, we love our racism.
That's not going to happen.
Anastasia,
if you admit it's white supremacy, you're admitting racism.
Oh, okay. Let's think about it this way. You know the answer already, angry soccer mom. First of all, if you lie about God, you'll lie about anything. Understand that. You lied about God. Okay? You lied about a whole entire continent. Okay? Just think about, and when I say white supremacy, I mean the system of white supremacy.
Not individual white people. You don't know everybody who's white. Right.
What I'm saying is, because white supremacy involves other nationalities. You lied about the earth. First of all,
can you explain that more?
If you lie about God and what he looked like and what God said.
Gotcha. That's what I want.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, white Jesus.
You lie about that and continue to have that lie. If you'll control the God that people see, and I'm not talking about black people, I'm talking about other white people.
Are you talking about white Jesus and that we actually
control white eyes?
Yes.
Gotcha.
You'll lie about anything. So as far as I'm concerned, like, okay.
It's a lifestyle.
There you go. Lying is a lifestyle. Hashtag lying is a lifestyle.
Yep. Very good. Willow, jump in.
I just always thought the reason people don't do something to fix something when they learn about it is because once they learn about it, they will have to take action. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to fix it because they benefit from it, pure and simple. It always comes down to the bottom line and the profit.
Fair enough.
That's true.
Gio, do you have anything to say on this?
Well, the both ladies said, they said it correctly. One thing I want to add to it is that if they was to say white supremacy, they are admitting that this nation is racist, and they don't want that. They don't want to say, it's funny how you got comedians and actors and all these kind of people, bigwigs, saying that we don't live in a racist country. And I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know where they're at, because where I stand from, there's racism everywhere. There's racism. Racism. I say this much. I'm 50 years old. I'm from the South Bronx. And I've seen racism, but I've never seen so much racism as I'm seeing it right now.
Well, it's Trump helped bring the cat out of the bag, and actually some people think that's a good thing. But yeah, no, it's denial is a lifestyle for us. So we don't take any responsibility for anything.
Of course.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
So think about it this way, the personification of it, right? In order for you to get a utopian society, it has to be a dystopian society for somebody else.
In capitalism, absolutely.
We lie to ourselves. Star Wars, perfect lie. We lie to ourselves. We're Luke. We're Ben Kenobi. We could even be Yoda. But in this world, these people are Darth Vader, stormtroopers. That's who they are. And we write these stories because this is who we are.
Are you saying that our society culturally is on the dark side?
What I'm saying is they tell you every day these movies are documentaries. Look at all the alien movies, right? Think about alien movies. What happens? What do? They come in, they act nice sometimes, and steal your resources and kill everybody.
Is that us playing out? Is that the white?
Yes, it's a document. It's a document.
Playing out
Independence Day is a documentary.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Those movies are V. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember V.
Of course.
Yeah. V. What happened with V? They came in, was like,
we're your friends, and whoop.
We're your friends. We want to be with you. And what ended up happening? There was lizard people taking us for food.
Yeah.
How many stories do we know of white people eating black people?
So are you, Anastasia? Is this the point you're making? Is that white people are in our movies, in our media? We are just playing out and acting out what we are doing because we will not admit to it, and so we are putting it on film, basically.
And you can re-envision yourself as the hero. It's an old African proverb that says the hunter will always be glorified as long as the lion cannot write.
Yep. It's always history's always written by the winner, I suppose you could say, but what are we winning is a question that we're not going to talk about. But great conversation, you guys. I want to ask more questions. Let me see. Am I skipping things? Maybe I am. Oh my gosh. Let me just back it up for a second. Low income folks are always disproportionately impacted by abortion bans. And Black and brown people are more likely to be in low income groups due to systemic racism. What will this look like when this passes? What will this look like? I'll say it again. Low income people are always disproportionately impacted by abortion bans, and Black and brown people are already more likely to be in low incomes because of the incredible systemic racism. Willow, what's this going to look like? How's this going to?
Anybody go back and look at the Mississippi Delta or Appalachia back in the 50s and 60s when there are a dozen kids barefoot in rags sitting on the front porch?
Okay.
That's what it's going to look like. Exploded population. And if you want to get really deep and dark about it,
sure,
the white people the white men want to raise a worker class.
Can you talk more about that?
That's what it all comes down to. And that's why they're feeding them bread and circuses every night on TV, every weekend at the bowl games.
Are you talking about the wealthiest elites want to have a working class work for them? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, and that's eventually what the whole population control is about. That's why they have raised it to where you can't afford to go to college and better yourself. You can only afford to go to college and become an indebted servant.
Well, you're too busy making ends meet,
now, this whole,
working your ass off to. to even be an activist. It's
Exactly. You have to look at the long term, how this is going to shake out overall. Yes, it's going to affect Black and brown people, melanated people. The abortion ban will affect more melanated people per 1,000. But overall, population, white people still get more abortions. They still will have more births, live births, because they have more abortions if they're forced to give birth.
right.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you're going
All
to
of this,
have a
white
lot more
supremacy.
white babies, plus you're going to have melanated babies.
Yep.
We're talking about an explosion that, I mean, they talked about how to do this when they did abortion, when they first outlawed it. And they said, well, what we can do is pay the white women to have children the way they
That's
do
what
in
Jane
Europe.
Elliott.
They've been doing it for
That's
decades.
what they've been doing in Europe. Jane Elliott says they've been doing that in Europe for years. Is paying
But
white women.
you know what they said in the next breath? We can't do that because we'd have to pay all women to have babies, and we don't want to pay
No
Black
way.
and brown women to have babies.
Right. I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, like we said earlier, the people who the Ukrainians are being let in before people, and the folks from Central America are kept in Mexico at the border, and they're allowing in. Why do you think they're letting the Ukrainian people in?
Mm-hmm.
Because look at them; they'll assimilate in about a year or two. Anna.
So we talked about this.
Yeah.
Ukrainians, these Russians that's going to Donald Trump's hotel and having these babies.
Right. That's a whole nother story. I don't know if people know about that, but yeah.
Right. These Russians, there's a lot more white, undocumented immigrants than they want to put on. Canada, all these countries. Why Trump kept talking about Finland and Norway. And what was that? What's his name? Ryan, the old House Speaker, when he wanted more visas for Ireland.
Paul Ryan.
Because they're bringing more. They're bringing new whites in.
Bring whites in, and they'll unite just like all the other white folks did, and they will become one white class.
One white Biden. Let me tell you something. I'm neither Democrat or a Republican. I think both of them are the same wings of the same racist bird. But the fact
Democrats
of the matter
are just Republican light.
Right. What Maya Angelou said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Joe Biden showed y'all who he was 40 years ago. Joe Biden showed you who he was when he went and was hugging them little white Ukrainian kids. I have yet to see him hug a little Colombian kid, a little Mexican kid, a Haitian kid that y'all sent out white folks and Hispanic folks at that border, because a lot of them people at that border are Spanish speaking Hispanics or Latinx. I don't know what the term is, so I'll use both of them, that work at that border. When did he go hug them folks? Where was AOC? Where was Cori Bush? Where was Ro Khanna? Where was all them people when black folks was getting their asses beat?
And to add insult to injury, the folks that are coming out from Central America are coming mostly from 3 different countries that we helped destabilize.
Exactly.
But, they can stay on the other side. This is also obvious. It doesn't take a ton of learning to do this.
Do you
want to say something, Gio, before we go on?
Yeah, what Anna was talking about. Before I met Anna, she's taught me a lot and I listened to her. That's why we're somewhat friends. But I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from her, because where I come from, or me, do I think I used to see things differently, just the same way. Before I went to jail, I saw religion one way, and when I went to jail, I saw religion. I saw God a whole different way. I was taught differently. So when I met Anna, and she opened my eyes, and then I see what she says come true. It really is, because it's astonishing how we spend so many billions of dollars for Ukraine. You let Ukraine people come in, but yet you see thousands of people homeless in New York. You see thousands of homeless people in LA. You see thousands of homeless people in Houston.
We
But
have
yet,
the money to take care of people who are not in
exactly,
their country.
when you can take when you can take all that money that you gave them, you could build tiny homes for these people. You could do a lot of things, and like Anna said, I saw how when they took away 2,000 Haitians and took them back to Haiti from Mexico, from the border. Why don't you let them in? Because to your eyes, because they're black, they're uneducated.
Rugged individualism. If you're here, you don't make it, it's your fault.
So we go out there, we give billions of dollars to these people, and then, like you said, I didn't see that part of him hugging and creating. But it's sad that a president of the United States can go to another country and hug one of another country's kid, and not go to a homeless shelter and hug a black kid. Say, "Are you okay? Have you eaten today?" Or to a brown shelter. That's pathetic. And when they asked him why hasn't he gone to the border, it's true. Why hasn't he gone to the border?
Yeah, it's
Why hasn't he spoken to the
different
people?
standards.
So
Now
he goes to Ukraine.
there's definitely
He hasn't gone to the border because they've been sweeping up Haitians all through Florida. They have destroyed the Haitian community since Biden's come in.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are
Similarly,
yes,
Angry Soccer Mom. Can I just say one more thing?
absolutely.
But you know what I like? Not I like. The reason why I'm not upset about certain things like that, because see, when you get here, you want to call me an N-word. I'm lazy.
Are you talking about black people or white people?
I'm talking about immigrants. Period. They take that white supremacist thing on.
Well, we indoctrinate everybody, right?
Right.
It's an equal opportunity, right?
So now them Haitians, we told y'all what they was like. Now you see they're gonna get on horses and whip you.
I gotcha.
The guy that just was murdered by the cops, Loyola. Oh, his family said we didn't know it was a genocide going on. Screw that, you didn't know it. You just didn't think it was gonna happen to you.
Are you saying they want to separate the African Americans who actually were born here and who live here, and they've been some of the first people here are trying to, the folks that are coming in from actual Africa now are trying to differentiate themselves from the other blacks, and it's causing a lot of problems.
And the only reason why you have the rights that you have here is because, just like Fannie Lou Hamer said, our blood is soaked in that flame. That
and they don't appreciate. You're saying they don't appreciate it.
Yeah. And that's why this hand is broken. You know why? Because I'm fighting for everybody's rights. But then you're gonna tell me I'm lazy? The guy the other guy, his name was Toby something, that got killed by that white woman. He talked so much crap about black women. And you know what I said?
Yep.
You might want to check on your community. Those white people and those Africans that you called black women akadas.
Yeah, and I respect what you're saying, and I cannot imagine, but I always bring it back to the point that everybody is indoctrinated under the guise of white supremacy. It's just how much you're indoctrinated. And these people, I'm not saying, they're victims per se, but I have certain understanding for them in the sense that they too are being indoctrinated by us. So
No, I get the indoctrination, Kimberly. What and you talking about, what I'm saying is it's either sincere ignorance or willful stupidity.
Both.
But they're buying into it. They're buying into it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I was indoctrinated too.
Right. But you kind of caught on.
I caught on to whoa.
No, I absolutely hear you. I do.
Wait a minute. And you can't keep using that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear you.
True.
I hear you.
I do concur, because you get taught a certain thing. Like I was writing on, I put on my YouTube the other day. Should we change the way history is taught in school. Because when you grow up, what are you taught? Every book that you read in history is a white man. So
Well, yeah,
how
it's
tell me,
whitewash. Yeah.
so how can you take a black or brown kid, teach him about white history, and not teach him about his own history? Everything. I mean, how is he supposed to learn, or she supposed to learn about their culture?
Well, the
Just
thing is,
because,
they're not.
just because they're not in Africa doesn't mean you can't you can't
They're
teach
not.
African history here. You know, so if I'm, I'm Puerto Rican, even though I'm in the United States, I'm Puerto Rican. I want to know what my Puerto Rican people did. Who was involved in this? I want to see what black person did that. I want to see something other than a white man. That doesn't inspire me.
Right. No, and it's all very purposeful. I hear you. It's purposeful, and it's done because we can't just indoctrinate in one facet of life. It has to be a full encompassing ordeal. And
We give Albert Einstein credit for this. We give Thomas Edison credit for that. But Thomas Edison only did certain things. You don't give Tesla the same credit, and Tesla did a whole lot more than Thomas Edison. Ford wasn't the inventor of car. I forgot who the black person was, but it was the black people.
Right,
so
right.
what can if we learn from that? If you take a 5-year-old black boy or girl and you tell them, just you see this picture of this person, this black person invented this. That child's gonna feel proud, because they're gonna say, "Wow, that could be me. I could do that."
Yeah,
But that's what Carter G. Wilson did. He did. Okay. I know we moving on, Angry Soccer Mom, but this is what I'm gonna say. I was watching something. I was watching something the other day, and they said, imagine a picture. Say you have a picture, you're in the picture, right? When you look at that picture, what's the first thing you're looking for?
yourself.
Yourself. So you know the reason why kids, specifically black and brown kids, are not interested in it, because they don't see themselves. But like Angry Soccer Mom said, that's the point.
It's
James
purposeful.
Baldwin said that. He said that American history, Lewis Lattimore, right? The point of history is to indoctrinate black and brown children. You cannot enslave somebody that knows their history. You can't do it.
Right. Great point.
Can't do it.
Yep.
That's why if you think about the white population, they like, oh, what? Oh, we taking it to the streets. You know what I'm saying? If you teach them something wrong, we taking it to the streets. We fighting. But in this country, we don't know. Gio, when did you find out about Lewis Lattimore? Exactly.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Exactly.
There's no hub or venue that white people, none, that you are going to, unless your parents somehow decide to educate you, there is no natural, normal hub or venue that a white person is going to learn the truth about our real history, racial history. Everyone was there. And so unless you take it upon yourself to educate yourself, you will remain indoctrinated. There's no place to go where you will be taught this stuff. So it's going to be grassroots. White folks like Willow and I, we got to get out there and learn our shit and follow history and go teach other white people. And it's not to be a hero. It's not to win a prize. It's to be acting like a goddamn human. Because black folks and brown folks are going to get their justice and equity. But why shouldn't we just stand there and watch and do nothing? It's disgusting. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. And who is it that said something? I want to just really quickly. I missed. There was a comment I wanted to. I'm going to have to go back. But if anyone sees comments that they want read, absolutely, because I'm kind of not trying to ignore you all, because you are making some nice comments. Due to systemic racism, this is the next question for the panel. Due to systemic racism in medical care, it's just rampant and very, very, we saw it with the COVID virus. My God, it was so obvious. Black women, regardless, let me say it again, regardless of their economic conditions, whether they are wealthy. I have a couple videos on it on my channel. Wealthy, or whether they are not wealthy, they already have an increased rate of maternal death during pregnancy, and they have an increased rate of infant mortality for their babies. Okay, this is part of systemic racism. Does anyone, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Anyone want to speak to that when these kind of laws are turned over? So, for example, in Mississippi, I read an article today that said that pretty much people in Mississippi, once all these laws are once Roe v. Wade is overturned, they're going to have to travel 500 miles to the closest clinic. Okay, 500 miles. If you're a poor person, even if you're not a poor person, that's a freaking road trip. That's quite some road trip.
Mississippi, the poorest state in the country.
No, statistically, they are. Honestly, all metrics. And I don't. So
that's why I said it, because they say statistically they're the poorest, and it's run by a Republican. It is a Republican state. Kentucky's right behind them. Yep. I mean, it's so. I was watching the other day a show from Mississippi where they're all, and I mean all, were related. I mean,
are you
sister
talking about
brothers? The nephew was the uncle was the father, and I'm like, what? Isn't there something out there that you can go to? And these are people that don't go out there in the world, and I'm like,
well, yeah, if we stick to the statistics,
that happens in all 50 states. That's not just the South.
I understand that.
Right. But what I was gonna say,
that's part of patriarchy.
Yes. What I was gonna say was, you can have control over a dumb population. All you got to do is watch the movie Idiocracy. There it is. That movie is a documentary, and where we're going. Number two, I worked with the Planned Parenthood in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. They do not conduct abortions, but what they do mammograms, they counseling, HIV testing, STD testing, all these things. But you got to remember, they don't want low-income people to have it to begin with. Because if you got a dumb, sick population, they don't have time to uprise. Think about it this way in the Bible. I'm trying to remember, it's in Old Testament. And the reason why I'm bringing the Bible up, because these dummies love bringing this stuff up. So I'm like, okay, no problem. In the Bible is a story about this group of people, and they said, okay, Jews, Hebrews, we're gonna get the vasectomy. We're gonna do it. So all the men and boys got vasectomies. You know what they came back and did? The Hebrews killed them all. Because when you have an uneducated, sick population, you can run amok. Yes, it's in Exodus, I think. You can run amok. And this is what they're doing. In Mississippi, you can run amok and say all kinds of things about CRT. Then I'm going to tell your child to write a letter back home to their family if they was a slave. Remember that? That was 2021 that you doing that in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, having an uneducated populace is a dream come true for people who want to have power. I want
a worker class.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Right. Will, did you want to add anything else? Because
no, y'all have got it. I'm enjoying listening.
Oh, you're such a sweetheart. Well, I want to try to wrap it up a little bit by asking each of you what's our next step here. I mean, like you said, we've determined that pretty much how it's going. What does the future look like here? Anyone? I mean,
There's going to be
What are we gonna do?
active resistance, not just in the streets, but behind. There are already coordination between different underground organizations being formed.
Mhm.
There will be an underground railroad. It's already being formed in these 27 states that have
Mhm.
trigger laws that once Roe
Hope
v.
so.
Wade is overturned, these trigger laws will go into effect and
And they will
shut down
automatically.
2/3
Yep.
of the states.
Yep. What she's
So
talking about
we've got to be
for
proactive.
yeah, what she's talking about for the new folks are there are the only thing keeping abortion alive in some of the states is that it's not overturned. Once it's overturned, the states will about 26 of them. Is that right? Will
Yes.
probably automatically turn over and not allow it. And I'm talking about a lot of this stuff. Okay, I don't know if you've ever heard of stories from people who have their children. They were forced to birth a child that came out with half a brain. They were
Mhm.
forced to birth a dead child because you can't have an abortion. They were forced. I mean, it is some sick shit. You're forced to birth a child that because you can't have an abortion, your child will come out and take a breath and be in excruciating pain and die in an hour. I mean, this is sick shit. Yeah, the sanctity of life.
Didn't Tennessee just pass, or I don't think they passed it, the law 232 where any child can get married at any age?
Well, now
No, they had
that's
to revise that.
They provide the okay.
yeah. I
They
mean,
had
actually,
to revise that. They said it, I think, at 16.
but
But it's still young.
that does bring up a point though that there are still places in the United States, yes, our country. And I was reading an article today, and I've known about this, where the law stopping abortion from being legal isn't just about abortion. It spreads and it goes to so many other areas. For example, child welfare. Right now, uh, a, if your parents coerce you into marrying your rapist, he doesn't get charged. And
That's
now
right.
you'll be having his baby. You're 13 years old and you get raped, and your parents are, they're embarrassed or whatever. They can have you marry the person so they can abuse your life. And it is perfectly legal. We talk about child marriage in other countries. Why don't we start talking about it in our country?
Right
That's
there.
true.
I mean, there are so many things that this impacts. Hey, how about a husband and wife? Wife doesn't want to have a baby, and the husband says, "I want a baby." Guess what? He impregnates her,
And that's it.
and that's it. She's not getting an abortion.
Can't say nothing because
And,
the law says you can't have an abortion. Though
I mean,
you don't want to give it to me. That's what it's. I mean, the law is. I mean, it's becoming. We're going so backwards, and it's just disheartening because we have portrayed this country has portrayed itself as the greatest country there is in the world, and it's not. It's a facade.
we could have been. We could have been. We could have been, but yep, that's what makes me so freaking sad. We could have been. We could have been at the cutting edge. We could have included everybody. We could have brought equity, but nope. Greed, greed, greed.
So somebody asked, Talanda said that, for women like her, they said, what if the pregnancy puts the women at stake? Talanda, what I'm gonna tell you, in some states, they don't care. I was watching something, I think it's Arkansas, where the dude was asking about why are we gonna abort an ectopic pregnancy?
Yes, it was
And it's
Arkansas.
like, that's not a viable pregnancy and she'll die.
They can't make that a baby. Okay.
They're trying to make that into law too. I was like,
Right.
who's the
Right.
idiot that can see that this debate? I mean, I was just perplexed.
No,
I was like,
The doctor comes on. Right. Go
They
ahead. Will.
believe that it can be transplanted into the womb. I've
Right.
seen two legislators get up and say that.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
Dr.
he
come on
said
and
somebody
say,
said that.
no. Yeah. A doctor's
And
like, you can't do that
the
yet.
baby's already dead and all, but they put okay.
Yeah.
And the thing
doctor-
about it is that this is what I'm gonna say about this, and this is for everybody that's out there. Out here in DC, when that happened, they was out at 12 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't able to go, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get. I think they call them uterus preppers. So what's happening now? Everybody's getting abortion pills if you can get them by mail. Getting
Wow.
plan,
So
getting
they're stocking
plan
up.
B, stocking up.
Next day
For
pill,
your
the next
friend,
day pill.
right? Your friends donate money. Like I said, they're talking about taking women on cruise ships to federal, outside of federal waters, waiting outside the borders. What's gonna happen is this is just gonna be like a handmaiden's tale.
Mhm.
That's what this is gonna be.
I hope they
So
make. Yeah, I hope they make an underground railroad for those people in
they
the
are.
deep, deep
They are.
south.
They doing it. But the issue is, this is what the issue is, Angry Soccer Mom. These people are snitching. So now they have, like in Texas,
Right, you can sue somebody.
sue somebody. So at the end of the day, are you gonna, depends on certain people. Like I said, I'm gonna be a part of the I'm not for or against abortion. I'm for mind your business.
Mhm.
Mind your business. But if it comes to a certain extent and I got to put one of them things outside my door so you know that this is a safe house, whatever it may be, that's who I'm going to be. It's
True
not
that.
because I want you understand what I'm saying? Certain things.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
pro-abortion.
don't have
No one's
to deal with the
pro-abortion.
repercussions
No
of
one's
it.
pro-abortion.
So
That's
for
ridiculous.
I just want to make this out. So for everybody out there, when they see this and they love Trump, I want them to hear that.
Birth abortion.
You hear that?
Eliminating of abortion in the third trimester. Big issue in Washington. Would President Trump ban partial birth abortion?
Well, look, I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion. I hate it and everything it stands for. I cringe when I listen to people debating the subject. But I just believe in choice. And again, it may be a little bit of a New York background because there is some different attitude in different parts of the country. And, I was raised in New York and grew up and work and everything else in New York City. But I am strongly for choice, and yet I hate the concept of abortion.
But you would not ban it?
No.
Or ban partial birth abortion?
No, I am pro-choice in every respect and as far as it goes, but I just hate it.
So that was the man that everybody, oh, Trump. This is the man 12 years ago. He's against him. And then people I see that's how people that's what you said. You said earlier, if you indoctrinate people and you indoctrinate stupid people, and I don't want to say that word, and people who have no brains and don't do their own research, this is what you get.
Well,
It does, Tawanda, it doesn't matter. It sex trafficking, they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't.
They only went, and I know that they only went after Epstein because he had people's name in it. Big people's name, and those names didn't want to come out. That's the only reason they went after Epstein. If not, Jeffrey Epstein would still be alive now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Right. This is this just spreads out like a virus, and
Yeah,
it's
we don't think that's one thing we don't talk about in this country about sex trafficking, human trafficking. We don't talk about that. And it happens every day.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things we don't talk about in this country. But anyway, I am going to say thank you so much to Willow and to Gio and to Anastasia, as always. This was
Love
a wonderful
y'all.
conversation.
Love our audience.
And Willow, you're a wealth of information, and I love how creative you are, Gio. I have to apologize to some of the viewers. I wanted to get back to viewers' comments and questions, but they kind of scrolled by fast. And great conversation. We are in some seriously scary times. Really scary. So I hope that you guys will come back again to the show.
I'm going to advocate for vasectomies.
Okay.
When are we going to take care of these loose penises? I have one upstairs that's a loose penis. And I'm going to go take care of that right now.
I don't get involved there. Good night. I don't get involved.
TMI.
Good night.
Conversation.
I'm over the legal age. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you
Good night.
Good night. Stay safe, y'all. Stay safe.